to the channel. Today's topic for you is International Debt Forgiveness and Credit Act. The International Debt and Forgiveness and Credit Act is the second part in this four-part series. Part 1 was the U.S. Citizens Government Debt Forgiveness Package and Domestic Debt Forgiveness Act. The current U.S. national debt is $36.4 trillion as of February 8, 2025. Potential new national debt level. So with a national debt of $36.4 trillion, we could subtract the estimated $22.1 trillion that the federal government owes to U.S. taxpayers and U.S. corporations, and we'll end up with $14.2 trillion could be the new national debt level if the U.S. taxpayer and U.S. corporations settled and forgave the $22.1 trillion the federal government owes them. And that will be the new national debt level, excluding the cost of a U.S. debt forgiveness package between the government and U.S. taxpayers and U.S. corporations. Now, if this settlement/domestic debt forgiveness package, I'm in the middle here, costs $7 trillion to implement, then we'll have to do the $22.1 trillion minus the $7 trillion, which is the cost of the settlement package, and we'll end up with $15.1 trillion will be the new amount eligible in terms of debt that U.S. taxpayers and U.S. corporations could allow the government to service and clear from its debt sheet. So at the bottom here, you'll have to do the $36.4 trillion minus the $15.1 trillion, and you'll end up with $21.2 trillion would be the new national debt estimate-wise. So $21.2 trillion could be the new internal U.S. national debt. That means we could internally lower the national debt by $15.1 trillion. But the U.S. national debt can be lowered even more by settling and restructuring debts owed to other nations and debts other nations owe America. Estimate-wise, America owes the rest of the world about $11.1 trillion. The U.S. national debt can be lowered even more if it restructures and settles the $11.1 trillion debt it owes other nations around the world. To go along with that, it would settle and restructure the X amount of dollars other nations owe the United States as well, which begs the question, how much money is America owed from other nations? If America could settle/restructure the $11.1 trillion by the whole amount or just by $1 trillion, then the new U.S. national debt could range anywhere from $10 trillion to $20 trillion. Just reiterating once again, the U.S. national debt can be lowered even more from the $10 to $20 trillion range. And this can happen once America figures out how much money it is owed from the rest of the world, meaning America would have a new national debt for the first time under $20 trillion since 2016. Even after restructuring and resettling the U.S. national debt internally and externally, there are still even more ways America could lower its national debt and have more cash on hand, and we'll go over that either in another video or during a live stream. Now with a lowered national debt ranging anywhere from $10 to $21 trillion, and remember this would be the range of the U.S. national debt before America settled and restructured external debts it owes other nations, and the debt other nations owe America. So with that in mind, America would gather a team of its top financial experts, mathematicians, economists, statisticians, accountants, advisors, and team leads. They'll meet with the teams from other nations to settle and restructure debts owed amongst one another. This meeting between each nation's teams will take place in Geneva, Switzerland. Reasoning Switzerland is a neutral country and all representative teams and world leaders that will attend could do so without heightened worry of prosecution from adversary nations. At this meeting, after every nation has settled and restructured debts owed and debts other nations owed said nation, every nation will request a credit/debt limit and the rest of the world will vote yea or nay, and this will go on until that nation gets a majority votes of yeas versus nays on a certain credit/debt limit it requested. Example, Switzerland requests a credit/debt limit of $150 trillion. The majority of the world votes nay on that request. Switzerland then requests $95 trillion, and majority of the world votes yay on that request. Now Switzerland has a credit/debt cap of $95 trillion. Switzerland can use its newfound credit/debt limit to address its needs without worry of the rest of the world losing faith in its currency and ability to pay. So if America could secure a credit/debt limit of $120 trillion, minus, let's say, its current national debt of $20 trillion, then America could use its remaining credit/debt limit of $100 trillion to address its every need. Every state would get $1 trillion to rebuild, for example, and a national rebuild will put every able-bodied legal US citizen in America back to work. Check out Primal Space's new video on YouTube, How Banks Magically Create Money. This video at minute marker 740 will give you a better idea on how we're going to create the credit/debt limits for each country. Once again, I'd like to thank you all for sticking with me through another video. I know it can be boring information, but I thank you. I'll catch you in the next one.